All right, so let's talk about the wedding at Cana. Most of us know the story, right? Jesus is at a wedding, they run out of wine, and bam, he turns a whole lot of water into some really good wine. On the surface, it's a great party trick. But what if it's way, way more than that? What if this story is actually a blueprint, a key for understanding his entire mission? Let's start unrolling that blueprint and see what we find.
So here's the thing that should make us pause. The Gospel of John tells us this was Jesus' very first public act. Not healing the sick, not casting out a demon, but saving a wedding from social disaster. Why start here? The choice seems almost random. But as we're about to see, nothing in this story is random. It's deliberate, carefully constructed first statement.
So here's our roadmap for digging into this. We're going to start by looking at the specific language the Gospel uses. Hint, it's not what you think. Then we'll decode what a sign actually is. We'll get into the symbols, the water, the wine, the crazy amount of it, and the meaning of the banquet itself, before we tie it all together, from this wedding at Cana all the way to the chalice.
Okay, to really get to the heart of what's happening at Cana, we have to start with the words on the page. The author of the Gospel of John is incredibly precise, and believe it or not, a word he avoids using tells us pretty much everything.
That's right. The Gospel of John never once uses the word miracle to describe what Jesus does. Not once. While the other Gospels talk about miracles, these amazing acts of divine power, John has a totally different word and a different idea in mind. This isn't just a power flex for its own sake. It's something else entirely.
So, if it's not a miracle, what is it? Well, John calls the event at Cana a sign. And that one little word change is the key that unlocks the whole thing.
Let's just look at this contrast here. A miracle, or dunamos in the Greek, is all about the act itself. It's a raw display of power. But a sign, semeion, well, it doesn't exist for its own sake. Think of it like a road sign, you know? The sign itself isn't the city you're going to, but it points you toward that much deeper, more important reality. The event at Cana is pointing somewhere.
This is what we call sacramental logic. It's this incredible idea that ordinary physical stuff like water or bread or wine can be transformed to carry an extraordinary divine reality. And Cana is where this whole pattern begins. See, Jesus doesn't just snap his fingers and make wine appear out of thin air. No, he takes something that's already there, water, and he elevates it. He's showing us right from the start how the material world can become a channel for the divine.
All right, so let's move to that first big symbol and see how this builds. The water itself. The story is super specific about where this water came from, and that little detail is absolutely crucial.
So this wasn't just any old tap water. It was water set aside for ritual washing, for the rites that prepared people for communion with God under the Old Covenant. It was all about external cleansing.
And this right here is the heart of the transformation. Jesus takes the water of the old way, which stands for external purification, and he changes it into the wine of a new way, a wine of joy, of celebration, of internal communion. It's a huge shift from just ritual preparation to actual sacramental participation.
So, and this is the critical point, it's not just any wine. This wine points forward. It is a direct foreshadowing of the wine at the Last Supper, the wine that becomes the chalice of the New Covenant, the very blood of Christ in the Eucharist. The whole pattern starts right here, at this wedding.
Okay, so we have the sign and the powerful symbol of water into wine. But there's another detail that is just wild, and it often gets overlooked. The staggering amount of wine Jesus creates.
Just let that number sink in for a second. Depending on the exact size of these jars, we're talking about 120 to 180 gallons of wine. This wasn't just topping off a few glasses. This was a flood of the very best wine.
I mean, to put that in perspective, that's over 900 standard bottles of wine. It's an absurd, over-the-top amount, and that's exactly the point. This isn't about just meeting a need, it's about superabundance. The sign is showing us that God's grace isn't about giving us just enough. It's an overwhelming, inexhaustible flood. And this very same idea of superabundance is totally central to the Eucharist, which is seen as an infinite source of grace.
Now let's zoom out and look at the setting itself. Why a wedding? Well, it turns out the wedding banquet is one of the most powerful and consistent symbols for communion with God in the entire Bible.
What Cana does is it brilliantly connects three different moments in time. You've got the actual historical wedding that happened that day, but that points to the sacramental banquet that is the Eucharist, where believers can commune with Christ right now,
And both of those point forward to the ultimate, final wedding feast at the end of time. You know, the one described in the book of Revelation. Cana just unites the past, the present, and the future into this single, powerful image of communion.
And we can't forget Mary's role in all of this. She's the one who sees the human need. They have no wine, and she brings it straight to our son. And her instruction to the servants, do whatever he tells you, is so simple but so profound. It basically models the posture of the church, identify the need, and point everyone toward Christ as the only one who can truly fulfill it.
So let's bring all these different threads together. We've seen that Cana is a sign, not just a miracle. We've decoded the symbols of water, wine, abundance, and the banquet. Now we can finally see the full picture.
Here it is in a nutshell. Cana sets the stage for the Eucharist by establishing a really clear pattern. First, Christ takes a material element and transforms it. Second, this transformation leads directly to joy and a deeper communion. And third, the whole act reveals his glory and his divine nature. It's the exact same logic we see at play in the Eucharist.
And this really is the ultimate takeaway. By starting his ministry at Cana, Jesus is making a huge statement. His mission isn't just about giving us a new set of rules or some nice moral teachings. At its very heart, it is about sacramental communion. It's about transforming our reality so that we can enter into a divine life with him.
So, the story of Cana isn't just a story about wine. It's a key. It's a key that unlocks a whole way of seeing the world. It teaches us to look beyond the surface, to see the signs that are pointing to a deeper reality. And it kind of leaves us with a question, doesn't it? If there's this much meaning packed into his very first sign, what other profound realities might be hiding in plain sight in other stories we thought we knew?